Twins of Reddit, what's your embarrassing story involving your twins partner? My mom is an identical twin. She and her sister were always dressed alike and hated it, so one year for Halloween my grandpa took my mom costume shopping and my grandma took my aunt. When they got home they were so excited to show each other their costumes, but when they came out of their room they were wearing the same thing. My twin and I did the exact same thing on multiple occasions. Have you established which one of you is the evil twin? The evil twin may be doing it on purpose. My ex was once scrolling through FB and said, "You look really hot in this photo." It wasn't me. Who was it in the photo? Mike Jones. Who? Mike Jones was going down an escalator at a casino. Look across and see my brother. Get the excites and yell, "Hey bro." Start waving for his attention. Was waving to myself in a mirror. My twin did that at our work. He was walking to his car and looked in the window and saw me walking parallel to him and got excited and waved. He first was confused how I was waving at him at the same time, then realized it was just a reflection. Haha. I'm not a twin, but my mum and aunt are identical twins. As they've gotten older I think they are more distinguishable, but from behind most people think they look exactly the same. My aunt and uncle were round for dinner and my aunt was in the kitchen preparing some food when my stepdad came in, hugged my aunt from behind, and kissed her neck. All my aunt said was, "Wrong sister." Everyone thought it was hilarious, but my stepdad was very apologetic and embarrassed for a long time. LMAO. Edit. Wow, thanks very much to the person who gave me silver. I was very surprised to just wake up and see all the comments on this. I thought it was a pretty common thing that happens and wouldn't get too much attention. I told my stepdad about how many people commented and liked this, and he was extremely embarrassed all over again. But my mum and I had a good laugh about it. He said that the reason he thought it was my mum was that my mum and aunt had the same haircut at the time and my aunt had put on my mum's jumper. Take what you will from that, LMAO. This story is so prime, and I'm so excited to tell it. I used to do musicals, like singing dancing musicals. My brother came to a performance and was at the greeting line afterwards. He goes up to the lead actress in the show and says, "Great job, congrats. What a show," to which she responds, "Oh, I wasn't in the show, actually it was my twin sister. But you were fantastic," to which my twin brother says, "I wasn't in the show either." And that's when the actual lead actress and I walk up wondering why they both look so damn confused. I've been laughing about it for years. Edit. Thanks for the silver. Now I can say I've gotten an award for answering wrongly after misreading a prompt. Haha. They're married now, right? By the power invested in me by rom-com writers everywhere, I now declare you man and wife. Not a partner, but a woman was asking my twin if we feel each other's pain. It gets a bit boring being asked the same questions, so I guess he wanted to mix it up. He said no, but he knows when I'm having an orgasm. She said, "Really?" To which he relied, "Yeah, I'm kneeling in front of him when it happens." A friend of mine has twins. She asked them basically the same question. One punched the other in the arm and said, "Nope, I feel fine." Classic siblings. My twin brother died in a car wreck and my family suggested that I should date his girlfriend because grief, I guess. Real ducking awkward. Mom. That's a ducked up thing to say. Sure is, and isn't even the worst thing that was said. What else was said, if you don't mind? That it would have been better if I died instead of my brother. This is actually my friend's story. She went to see a play at a university with her identical twin. His sister said that there was a shortcut to the theater by cutting through some class building. My friend didn't think that made sense, but her sister seemed confident about it, so she followed along. Then suddenly her sister opens a classroom door and says, "Let's go in here." My friend goes inside and freaks out when she sees a bunch of paintings of what looks like herself, completely naked. It turns out her sister had posed nude for an art class and thought that would be a fun surprise. Mr. Clark, I grew up in a small town where, if you were walking down the road and your neighbors were outside, you smiled and waved. For years, I would take walks as a kid, smiled and waved all the time to a dear old gentleman. Mr. Clark. I was sad when I learned he passed away. He was well liked in the community. A couple of weeks after he passed, I went for a walk. As I approached his house, I saw a familiar face. It was Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark was dead. A chill went through me. I felt frozen, but yet able to walk. I felt sheer terror. In that second, it was confirmed. Ghosts are real. But no one would believe me, so I kept it to myself. For a couple of weeks, I saw Mr. Clark in his yard a couple of times and I hurried on by his house as fast as I could. That feeling of sheer terror always at the surface. Mr. Ghost Clark was a little off. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. I couldn't take it anymore, so I mentioned Mr. Clark to my besties mom who lived 3 houses down from Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark was a twin. The happy twin passed, and the curmudgeon Clark was still alive and kicking. I will never forget the feeling of nearly losing my bowels the first time I saw Ghost Clark after he passed. I will also never forget the laughter my friend's mom couldn't hold back when I told her my ghost story. I fancied a twin in high school and couldn't realize why in one class she spoke to me yet in another didn't know what the duck I was on about. It took me 4 months and just bumping into them both on the walk home, and I literally went, "There's 2 of you." I've done the same thing, except I thought there was only one. I asked the wrong one out, got slapped. Then the other one helped me home because she hid my eye, and I kinda faked not being able to see. Dated her for the past 3 years. I'm too young to propose though. In 2 years I'll be ready. How did you ask her out that resulted in you getting slapped? Or is she just psycho? I said the girl's name who I liked, and then will you go out with me? She slapped me for 2 reasons. Apparently everyone they knew could tell them apart, and they hated being called the other name. And 2, she didn't know me, so it was like a random stranger asking you out. My grandpa has a twin brother, and they look nearly identical even now in their late 70s. My mom told me that when I was a toddler we were at a family reunion. Apparently my grandpa was holding me and talking to my parents, and then his twin brother walked up to us, and my reaction was to say, stunned and wide-eyed, 2 grandpas. I must have been really happy to have not one, but 2 amazing grandpas to interact with. I love that instead of being confused you were happy for double the grandpas. I went to a funeral of a friend's father. I had no idea that the deceased had an identical twin. It felt really strange to see the guy in the coffin, sat at the front row of the church. Must have been even weirder for him. Everyone stare intensely. I'm not the twin, but I was dating a guy on and off for years, long distance, and eventually came to find out that the guy I had been on and off dating was ducking his twin brother and his twin brother's wife. I couldn't believe it at first, but then a whole lot of things started to make sense. The more I thought about it, I'd been friends with him a solid 15 years, and in that whole time he never really dated anyone but me. But he spent so much time with his twin brother and even more with his twin brother's wife. We are no longer dating. He was ducking his twin brother? Yep. He admitted to fooling around with him since puberty. Things slowly escalated. He made me promise not to tell anyone. So naturally, I'm telling Reddit. Not embarrassing, but my twin sister is dating a guy that friend-zoned me. Edit, I'll add some context. I really liked this one guy. Super nice and funny and smart, and he was pretty cute too. I confessed that I liked him and got friend-zoned. It's done and he stopped talking to me after that, which totally sucked. A month later or so my sister told me about the same guy and how they both liked at each other. I was pretty sad about it, not gonna lie, but they've been dating for almost 3 months now, and they're a cute couple. It does sting when she tells me how great they're doing and how he is always at our house, but she's happy, so it's okay. Another edit, I'm not mad at my sister. I love her. I'm so happy she found someone that likes her for her true self and her uniqueness. Sometimes things happen, and it can suck, but that's just how life is, y'all. At least he isn't going just for the looks. Not a twin, but I had a pair of teachers at my middle school who were identical twins. They tended to dress similarly, and I spent a lot of time confused as to how they could move around the school so quickly until someone told me there were 2 of them, and that they were twins. This was right before one of them got pregnant though, so I would have figured it out eventually. I used to ride around a lake and there was this buff dude running laps opposite direction all the time. For so long I thought that ducker was super fast, like I must have always ran into him during cooldown section. But man, I'm hitting 12 miles per hour on average and 20 in the flats, and I'd always run into him again at the halfway mark. For months I thought this ducker was just dropping the hammer after I rounded a bend. I started riding harder and harder. Then one day I noticed at some point he must have changed shorts, cause he was in grey at the first pass. Then I figured it out. They were twins, and one of them ducked up on the shorts color that day. Every day they went out the running roughly in sync to get some exercise and duck with people. I'm not a twin, but dated one of two twin brothers in high school. The other twin also had a girlfriend at the school. One day, someone in my class pulls me aside to nervously tell me he thinks my boyfriend is cheating on me. He was fairly new at the school and didn't know yet there were twins. It gave us all a good laugh when the story got around, and the guy was pretty relieved to hear there was no cheating going on. Okay, but shout out to that guy for seeing what he thought was a bad situation and taking immediate action on it.